Hey everyone, it's Jen with Spirited Saturdays, and every once in a while somebody on the team comes up with the topic that could easily double as a personal therapy session. Just the talking about it and talking about it. It's feels good to talk about, or it feels important somehow to talk about it. And so this week I do feel is a little more personal for me, and potentially beneficial for me as well as hopefully you who are watching. I hope that you can get something out of my own insight from it. Yeah, and so the topic is separating your voice from the eating disorder's voice. So the reason that this is important for me is because it's something that I have struggled with in general, separating when I had the eating disorder, separating my voice from the eating disorder's voice, but in recovery, continuing to struggle with distinguishing those voices, and moving forward, being recovered, which I do like to say that I am, continuing to have the issue of 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 expressing what is authentically from me, or letting the motivator of my decisions be authentically mine and really best serve me. And so I don't know. It actually would help me. This video is helping me. So it helps, I think, to okay, I was actually grocery shopping today, and I picked something up to go and figure out if it was the best thing that I needed out of a bunch of possible things, if this one thing was the best from that. And I noticed that I was really looking for nothing in particular. I wasn't looking for any kind of ingredient, unless it was, I'm vegan, so the only thing I was looking for was, does this have dairy in it? But I was looking for nothing else. And it occurred to me in a little bit of a flashback moment that even when I was in recovery, I certainly was looking for way more than that, and was being very particular about what I would pick up. A lot of it had to do with the amount of ingredients. It could have been anything, but I was paralyzed. I really couldn't leave a section of a supermarket until I obsessed severely over every single possible option for I could be standing there for a long time. And I noticed today that I clearly didn't do that anymore. So I was happy about that and proud of myself for that. And I also noticed that in my life, am I applying the same sort of progress? Am I making decisions based on what is authentically me? And sometimes I am, and sometimes I'm not, and sometimes I don't even realize that the things that I'm doing or choosing are not authentically me. For example, when I had the eating disorder and when I was in recovery even, I don't think I even realized that a lot of the times I thought I was differentiating. I thought I had the awareness, and I thought I could tell who I was and what was coming from me, and clearly distinguish what was coming from the eating disorder. I thought I had it. I remember thinking that I was the only one or one of the very few who actually had it, and I almost felt left out in a sense, because I really thought that unlike everyone else that I knew, I felt that I somehow knew what I was doing, and yet I kept doing it. I knew that it was the eating disorder's voice, and yet I kept doing it. Well, I guess that can go one of many ways. You can say that a lot of people know and they keep doing it, but I really thought that I had the awareness. And I think, like everyone else, I thought I was way more clear in my thinking than I actually was. So the distortion in eating disorders is paramount. It keeps you from yourself on just every level. So it's important to know when you're in it that even if you think you have this removed perspective and you can see it, I think you still need to question that. Am I actually seeing it? Or is this just another manipulation, another mind trick of my eating disorder? Yeah. And I think that that's a general that's a good general thing to carry over when you are in recovery and are recovered or have been in recovery for a very long time and are strong in recovery. Continue to try to see a situation from the clearest vantage point, and if that means asking others for their insight, that could be what you need to do. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, so I think seeing it, and also not making decisions based in this place of entanglement within it. And so, you can feel that. You can, and that's the whole point of recovery, is to be able to feel your emotions, or one of the many points. So you can say you're onward and further on in recovery and you've managed to distinguish yourself from the eating disorder, and yet you're still dealing with this issue of wondering about your identity, or wondering who's calling the shots, the unhealthy or the healthy side. How is that playing out now in absence of the eating disorder? And if you're still unclear on that, and it could be a very long process, try not to make decisions from a place of total entanglement, of this not knowing. Try to gain some clarity. And in doing that, I think that removal, not dissociation, but or waiting until the emotional turmoil, the darkest part, of the heaviest part, has passed. Removing yourself a little bit and looking at the situation from all angles, making the decision, or whatever judgment call that you need to make from a place of clarity, panning out, so to speak. And yeah, and I think it's a process, because eating disorders are so entrenched in identity for many people. So it makes sense that even in recovery, or even when you're recovered, that identity or self-trust or even feelings of self-worth, I mean, these things might come up again because the eating disorder masked them so much and just kind of was a filter, for all of that kind of played out in the eating disorder. But once the eating disorder is no longer the coping or the defense mechanism, and you're left with certain issues that you used the eating disorder to deal with, some of those issues might be identity and self-worth and trust. And am I trusting the healthy side? Am I trusting the unhealthy side? What is my motivator? If I'm trusting the unhealthy side, what purpose is that serving? And really try to de-blurify it for yourself. And try to remember that it was very blurry in the eating disorder, and it may just be just as blurry later, and you may not see it in the moment. So you still, even though you see like the past now, oh, what was I thinking? Clearly that wasn't the healthy side. In the moment right now, you may be going through the same exact thing and think you've got a handle on it, And later you might look at this moment and go, oh, what was I thinking? I clearly wasn't seeing it for what it was, and I clearly wasn't acting in accordance with my truest, clearest self that wanted the best for me. So it's always good to get a kind of distanced, clearer perspective on what's going on, a judgment-free perspective, a perspective that isn't based on emotion, which may be based on a lot of imbalance. So, also, something to do and something that we did in treatment was when I had a thought that was an eating disorder thought, and I had to work to realize that it wasn't. One of the things that the therapist had us do there was to label that as an automatic thought and then challenge it. So make 2 columns, and one would be the automatic thought, and the second would be challenging the thing that you would say to answer that. Another really great way of doing that, I keep referencing Robin Hussa, but that's because she's brilliant, so I won't stop probably. But Robin Hussa, in one of her workshops, had us do an exercise with affirmations, and one side we fold the paper into 2 columns, and the first column was a negative thing we thought about ourselves, and maybe that would be the eating disorder side. And the second column was the answer to that, the contrasting thought, the positive flip side to that statement. And then she had us fold the paper in half and only look at the positive. So we create, tear apart the paper, or at least have it so that only the positive sides were showing. So that, and make those your affirmations, and then transfer them onto cards and things. And so that seemed like a very profound, very just in your face, direct, purposeful way of arriving at affirmations that were true for you in particular. So that's another idea. And then you can really see what's coming from the healthy side of you, because that side of the paper was designed to be the healthy side of you. So if you ever have any doubt or confusion, you can just reference that side. Reference those affirmations that you created. So I am aware that this video might not have been the most coherent. I'm going to check and see if there's anything I left out. I made some notes on Facebook. So yeah, but yeah, just so as you continue in your recovery, just keep asking yourself, when you want to bring it back to who you are, who am I, what is my identity, what is the source of what I deliver to this world, where is it coming from, what is my motivation, what am I trying to satisfy or appease, am I guided and motivated by the healthy or unhealthy parts of myself, and if I'm guided by the unhealthy parts, what am I getting from that? It's important to recognize what purposes the unhealthy parts of ourselves are serving so that we can learn from them and use those lessons as we move forward. And I always like to reference Teal Scott whenever she happens to pop up. And so she says to ask the question, what would someone who loves themselves do? And I will direct you to that video. Yeah. So I think that is, that would be that. So I hope that helped. And I hope this made some sense, and if it didn't, feel free to ask me to clarify or organize anything that I said that you would like to know more about. Okay, have a great week and take care of yourselves. Bye.